Yesterday was a mess. Disaster. Feeling much better today.
So I'm very happy.
Yesterday was a mess.
And
Disaster.
got the hair done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. We search the world for marketing news, and we show you the way. Here we go. Okay. So the All-Star Game is tonight, and they've got a new feature today, which is Major League Baseball is offering up a new private venue in conjunction with Tuesday's All-Star Game at Dodger Stadium. The All-Star House is billed as a social hub for creators, celebrities, and influencers to create content around unique experiences. Apple, Budweiser, Corona, Gatorade, Hyper Ice, never heard of that, Nike, and T-Mobile are sponsors. So anyway, you can go in there. If you're a social influencer, you get a pass. Somehow they forgot me. And I'm not going to be there anyway. And so they're going to have on the field and off field special events, a batting cage, and all that. So let's go over to the YouTube and see what we got for commercials for Major League Baseball.
What grip do you use?
When do you release it?
So what's the correct arm angle?
Like this?
Guys. This is supposed to be relaxing and easy, okay? Y'all ready to give it a try?
So I wonder where they got the field next to the river. But I suppose a lot of parks are built on floodplains because it's easier to fix them up than move a bunch of houses out of the way. And probably you don't know this, but we once had a Field and Stream reporter fly in for whitetail.com, which is a website that I am part owner of and founder of. And we took him hunting in the afternoon, but in the morning it was the steelhead salmon run. And we actually took him fishing in the parking lot of the Brewers Stadium because there's a river that sort of goes through there, and it's one of the better places for steelhead salmon in the country. He couldn't believe it. He got I don't know what, 6, 7, 8 pounder or something. Not a big one, but he was certainly happy. He couldn't believe that he could catch salmon in the morning in the Brewers parking lot, and then go out and shoot deer in the afternoon out in Summit, which is west of there about 25 miles. And so I just thought that would be a funny commercial. Of course, I'm always searching the world, but don't forget the All-Star Game is tonight in case you care. Now we're going to talk a little bit about designers and stuff. Gunderson Direct, my friend Mike Gunderson, got picked as one of the best direct marketing companies in San Francisco. Only one of the best? I'd say the best. Anyway, and so I looked up the actual report from Crunch that gives, if you want to find marketing agency. Oops, I got to click off this thing. If you want to find direct marketing agencies in San Francisco, and Gunderson, their low end project was $75,000. That's as small as they want to take. Like the people who scored ahead of them were like $25,000, and they had like 6 employees, and yeah, they got a straight 5.0, but it's probably their mothers and spouses and stuff. So anyway, I think that why mess around? And if you're going to do direct mail and you're trying to do it for less than $25,000, you're barking up the wrong tree, I gotta say. So anyway, that's a special note for you, Dan, if you're out there. There has to be enough to reap the benefits of mail. You have to have enough circulation to have statistically valid segments, or you can't even do testing, which is the point of using mail, pretty much. Okay. Now here's an interesting article from Matt Johnson at The Drum, How to Create Long-Lasting Relationships with Your Designers. And I was talking with somebody the other day, and I said to him, you know, my background is actually in creative. I was in graphic arts and copywriting, so layout and design before I got into data. Heck, before there were computers in marketing. And somewhere along the line, I decided that I was creative enough to be in data, but not as creative as the creatives. So this article, and I had a staff of about 6 designers working for me at one point. And Norm Stern said that I had taken one of the worst departments in the company and made it one of the best. So that was quite a nice compliment from Norm. Anyway, Matt gives this from the perspective of the designer. And he's saying the client needs to be able to trust me on 4 points. First, be open and honest. Now, designers need to be able to challenge the brief. They need to be able to challenge what your concepts are. And it's a little bit challenging because, you know, with that staff, we had a catalog. I was going to bring up the test we ran, but we had a catalog of imprinted merchandise. And we were very proud of our client base, which was a lot of big name companies like Anheuser-Busch and Caterpillar and 3M and a bunch of good companies and recognized brands. And so I would hand the catalog out to my friends who owned companies. And I'd say, you know, do you ever use this kind of merchandise? And they'd give me this puzzled look and say, why would I want a Miller High Life jacket or something? And I said, no, that's for your logo. Your logo goes on the jacket. Oh, my logo. Okay. So after that happened about a dozen times, this is observation. This is the observation phase of the scientific method, which is the number one thing to start with. Okay, after that observation consistently, I had fired the head of the design department because he wouldn't run this test. But then I hired Pete Sirotkin and Pete, is that right? No, Peter Soik, I'm sorry. Peter Soik and Peter, we had worked together in the past. So anyway, I was telling him about this test. It's like his first day there. And one of the junior designers walks in, and we were producing 25 different catalogs a year or something like that, in addition to our main catalog. So we were putting a lot of work through there. But anyway, the junior designer comes in, and I said, what I want you to do is, I said to Peter, what I want you to do is I want you to put your name here, or your company, or your logo here. You can change it up. And I want you to do a split test on the cover and see what the impact of that is. And the young designer spoke up and he said, you're just trying to ugly up the catalog, which is what the other guy had said that I just fired. And Peter looked at me and he said, John, do you think this will increase the response rate? And I said, oh yeah, at least 20%. And Peter then looked at the young designer who was working for him and he said, your job is not to decide what tests we're going to run. Your job is to make it as unugly as possible. So, you know, right in there was this tete-a-tete of the designer challenging the brief, essentially, you know, which is okay. We didn't fire the kid, but at the same time, sometimes you just want to do the best job with the brief you get. And we ended up letting him do different typefaces and different logos and dressing up the your name here. And it was really quite clever. It wasn't just Helvetica, you know, big, bold block or Arial black or something like that. And I actually used that test at a DMA show in New Orleans where I spoke on testing. And I asked the audience to show the difference between the two covers. Talk about not uglying it up. And only about half the audience, I said, just wave your hand when you can see the difference. And only about half the audience could even see the difference. And yet that cover test pulled 40% greater revenue per piece. 40%. We didn't change a single other logo in the catalog. Every other page, every other word of copy was identical, and yet just that one cover change, and the only change was the logos on the items, that pulled 40%. And so anyway, so there's this tension. You want your creatives to be creative, but there is a hierarchy of command, and that is one of the challenges. And when I came in and took over the department, which was right around then, I said, how long does it take to, on average, what's your average time per page? So if you're going to do a 24-page catalog, how many hours does that take? And they said, oh, we're creatives. We're creatives. We don't know how long we're going to take. We have to do creative stuff. Well, Peter came in and he showed them how to do, 3/4 layout grids and design conventions so that certain key elements are on every page, like the response device, like in those days, is there an 800 number on every page, not on every other page. As I've told you, I went out to Land's End when they were starting their business to business similar catalog. This was years later, and Dave Zentmeyer, and they handed me the catalog, and I said, okay, I'll be the president and you be the buyer, and I want you to buy me this Land's End golf shirt. Buy me some of these golf shirts. And you say, and so the question is, where would you buy them? And he looked at the page and he said, how about Land's End? I said, no, you're going to buy them from your brother-in-law. He said, why would I do that? I said, well, first of all, everybody has a brother-in-law that sells this stuff or a cousin or, a buddy. So, but I'm the president and it's my Land's End catalog, and I'm not going to give you the entire catalog. I'm just going to photocopy that one page. So this is called the photocopy test. If you have a catalog, you might want to try it out. And I said, where on this page does it say Land's End? If you only look at this one page. He looked, because they didn't have the page conventions designed up on every page, so there was a response device. I said, the only place it says Land's End on this page is on the label inside the collar of the shirt. And that's a little too subtle. He looked at me and he said, wow, business to business is really different. But anyway, so even when you're telling your creatives where to go, that, be polite. And this is from the creative's perspective. It says involve the client. Well, in this case, we were the client. And but another reason I fired the head creative director was he was on the shoot for Pontiac. We were shooting a new catalog for Pontiac. We'd never worked with him before, and he went to the practice trials of a NASCAR race. And Richard Petty was driving his famous Dodge Charger, so he would be a Pontiac spokesperson. And Rick tried to get Richard to take off his sunglasses for the photo shoot, I think in his hat. And of course, those are the two defining characteristics of Richard Petty. You wouldn't recognize him if he took off his hat and sunglasses. So anyway, Pontiac gave us a call after that and said, can you send somebody a little more knowledgeable next time who knows something about cars? But anyway, so you got to be careful involving the client and the creatives. You might want to prep them first, right? But later, I want to tell you how this worked out. So later, when we were using the grid and we were designing in a more orderly way, and we would create a look for each client, and it was working really well. We were doing it could have been 3M, but we were doing a golf bag that had the company logo on it, and it was a really cool item. We didn't sell a lot of them, but we did sell some. And the junior creator guy designer came to me and said, is it possible that we could let this go off almost to the bleed. Let it go outside of our conventions. I said, absolutely. That sounds like a great idea. It'll really make that thing stand out. And he said, well, I thought we couldn't break these rules. I said, no. The entire point of the rules is so that every now and then you can break them. And it makes it stand out. It makes it pop. And he looked at me. He said, he realized that it was a fairly profound. If every page is its own little world, you never see the creativity. It's all just a mishmash. So anyway, it is a challenge, I admit. It is a challenge, but having a strong, we had great relationships after that. Results in killer projects and delivers lasting positive impact on clients. Whether you need, and then there's, hire us. Okay. So anyway, interesting to think about. Thanks for that, Matt. I really enjoyed that article, and we don't often think about the best way to cultivate the creativity of our designers. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will know you're smart.